What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. My name is Dan, and I help people challenge their reality to build the life they desire through the power of their mind. Since a lot of people seem to spend their days watching TV during this quarantine, I think explaining what it does to you if you're not aware of it is important. But before I jump into the explanation, I have to make sure that you know a little bit about brain activity and brain waves. So, brain waves can be measured, and there are different categories. They're simply the type of energy that the brain emits during certain activities. So here are the different categories: beta brainwaves, alpha brainwaves, theta brainwaves, delta brainwaves, and gamma brainwaves, which aren't really important to this episode, but nevertheless, it doesn't hurt to mention them because it could be important for the future episodes. Okay, so beta brainwaves are the ones that your brain emits when it's fully alert, most often analyzing what is happening in the outside world. So these are most of our waking hours. In most cases, this is when your brain is not coherent at all because it's trying to focus on various things at the same time, causing an incoherence in the heart as well, which can be translated into stress for the body. Then alpha brain waves are emitted when your brain is a little more relaxed, more focused on a certain activity, and even more creative. Here, the brain is primed to learn and engage in neuroplasticity, which is simply the formation of new synaptic connections between neurons. Theta is an altered state of consciousness, if you will. This is the state you're in when you just wake up or are falling asleep. There are two important things that stand out here. Number one, your brain is awake, but your body is asleep. And number two, this is when your imagination seems the realist. And this is important because remember, your subconscious can't differentiate between real memories or the ones you create, which means that if your imagination seems more real, then it's going to provoke stronger emotions. Then there's delta, which is deep sleep. And then there's gamma, which is what Dr. Joe Dispenza likes to call superconsciousness. Basically, there's a huge amount of energy going through the brain, and this can be achieved through meditation sometimes, but it's not the end goal, and it won't happen all the time. Anyway, now that you know all of that, let's get into the state that TV puts you in. Alpha, when your brain is focused and primed for learning. Since it's primed for learning, it means that it's also suggestible, meaning whatever they throw in there is more likely to stay, even if it's 100% useless. This explains why some people can't remember what they ate yesterday, but they can remember whatever the fuck goes on Keeping Up with the Kardashians. But that's just one example. Obviously, there are other shows, movies, advertising, etc. The message each of them carries might be different, but the end goal is the same, to make you remember it so that it might influence you in a certain way. And I'm not saying every show or movie is made for that, but a lot of them definitely are. And I'm not saying you shouldn't watch them either. If that's what you want to do, by all means, have at it. I just want you to be aware and conscious about those things because they do it very well and it's very powerful. I'm going to give you a personal example. I've stopped watching TV in general, maybe a movie from time to time or a show, but that's about it. And my sister recommended the new season of Money Heist. Since I had seen the previous seasons, I figured why not? It's a good show, even though I didn't like the last season. Anyway, so I started it, and every night, as I finished all the things on my list for that day, I watched a couple of episodes. This lasted 3 days. Well, during those 3 days, my emotions were different than usual, and as I did my late night meditation, it was a lot harder to concentrate. I could feel that it took me longer to go from beta to alpha and even to theta. This wasn't because I was thinking about the show, but rather, since those shows portray violence, manipulation, treason, loss, and struggle, my mind just kept going towards the moments in my life where I felt those types of emotions. The loop of hate, judgment, and lack that I had worked so hard to get out of was pulling me back, just from one show. Why? Because I wasn't aware of it while I was watching it. It took me a moment to realize what was causing me to go back to those familiar feelings, and believe me, it was very easy to have them take over. Now, I want you to take a moment to analyze this from a more general perspective. This was happening with a show that wasn't portraying a true story or even anything that happened in my life. I mean, as far as I know, I can't remember being a part of a robbery. But if this happens with something that you and I both know isn't true or real, imagine what the news does to you. Because that's supposed to be all true, right? And they mention things that you could be experiencing on a day-to-day basis. So what do you think happens when they talk about the economy and tell you that it's not going well? Why do you think the news are always bad news, or at least 99% of the time? They provoke feelings of anger, misery, and lack, and then you associate that with past moments of your life, so you keep reliving them. It puts you in a state of fear and survival, and that makes you a lot easier to control. You see, your subconscious mind can only accept, it cannot reject. Yet you want to reject a lot of the things, but being in a suggestible state of mind makes it very hard to do so. unless you're aware of it. That's why awareness is the key to everything. Once you're aware, you can refute whatever they tell you. So if they tell you the economy is going bad, you might say, maybe for you, but not for me. During the Great Depression, there were a lot of people who made millions. Not everybody lost their money. Do you want a more current example? How about telecommunication apps, video games, Amazon? They're making a killing right now when supposedly the world is at a halt. Same goes for my network marketing business. It's doing more sales than ever right now because what it offers really is valuable, and you could be a part of it if you wanted to. See, it's all about making a decision to take a chance on life, knowing that anything is possible, and believing that what you're doing is making a difference, because it fucking is. I used to think I'd never have the time to work on a YouTube channel. What about now? Am I going to be like others and say that I have too much time now and I'm bored? No, here I am giving back what has been of value to me, hoping it will be to others as well. Because that's the point. The universe gives back by law. So you must do the same in order to succeed. The universal laws are the rules of the game, and you can only win by playing along. You have been given everything you need because it's in you. And I explained that in previous episodes. You can check those out, and I will be going even more into detail in future ones. Don't let yourself be influenced by what you see or hear on TV. You're much more powerful than you're being led to believe. In fact, you're as powerful as you can imagine. You're your true power and your limitation. So don't even take my word for it. Do your own research, compare, and then draw your own conclusions. From there, you can decide what you want to do. Even if you have no idea how it will happen, the thought of it and your belief must be clear in your mind. That's when the magic starts happening. I hope you enjoyed this episode and that you'll benefit from what I told you. Remember to go visit my sponsor's website if you want to be more conscious about your food choices, and contact me by email or any of my social media accounts if you'd like more information, discounts, a partnership, or a collab. All of the links are in the description box. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you on the next episode, and as always, peace, love, gratitude, and respect.